Welcome back to Self Revelations. It's your boy B-Dab.
And I am Juan Moreno.
Wanavelli. It's been a crazy week, huh? Crazy weekend.
It definitely has been.
Came up and surprised me in Santana Row. That was live, bro.
That was so fun.
I was so surprised when you guys pulled up. I was so confused because it was like the last little last gift, and I was like, what the hell? So I'm going downstairs. And I have the blindfold on. And I knew something was weird because you kept telling me, like, bro, I'm going to see you soon. I was like, what the hell? So my lady takes me downstairs, and we go around the corner to the second room. And he takes it off, and I see y'all. I'm like, oh, hell. And you've been keeping that from me for hella long, too. I already know because I was like, he's been saying that for a good 2 weeks.
It felt like it was like a couple months. I forgot what game it was. Like where your lady told us like when the surprise was gonna be, some of the itinerary, what you guys were gonna do, and then to like then us the first time us meeting her to then like involve us in because she felt that like we are like very important to you. So that meant a lot. Like her even saying that and identifying that, and then to invite us in, bro. When you were coming down the stairs, I thought you were gonna fall. I was like, damn, he better not fall. He better not fall. But it was so fun. I never been out there, too. And then where we stayed at, too, was super nice.
Bro.
I was like, what the hell?
It's crazy. I was like looking up and down. You know when we were walking up and down Santana Road, the street, and we were looking around. I'm like, bro, this is crazy. They really live like this every day. Like those are apartments, bro. Those wasn't just like it wasn't like a hotel or nothing. Those were like apartments. So they were there. We were just in an Airbnb.
Yeah.
But nah, it's nice out there. I'm glad y'all pulled up though. That was fun.
Yeah, it was super fun, definitely.
On me. But how's everything else with you?
Good, man. Just focusing on honing in on my leadership. Like, just trying to make more of an impact, especially within an environment of people that maybe have stopped learning. That's one thing I start to see, like, even in my last job, there was somebody there, and I was showing her, like, oh, hey, here are some power phrases that I've been learning. So, like, communication skills. Like, I kind of go on YouTube or Google and try to see different ways how to articulate myself to get the best outcome and to not trigger somebody emotionally and trying to get my point across, but then get the job done. It's kind of like, let's say I'm trying to deliver a new process, and that process, people don't like changes, especially if like, let's say, you meet somebody that's been working at a job for like 10 years and doing the same thing for 10 years. And now new management comes in and you're going to change the process. You're going to get so much pushback. And that's the one thing I've seen within people. You know how they say the ones who survive adapt, and you easily, especially like in work environments, especially like the corporate world, when you like implement a new process, people are already pushing back instantly. This is going to take too long. This is too slow. And even though we're barely getting started in the process, like, of course it's going to be slow. We're barely learning. Like, we don't know nothing fully yet and how to actually implement it. And so I'll learn phrases like just to try to, because the worst thing you want to do is like over explain yourself. Like, or agree. Like, if somebody tells you, oh, this is going to take us long, and let's say you don't really feel like that way, but you want to have, like, sympathy for that person, you're like, oh, yeah, I know. Like, I don't want to do it either, but, hey, it's the big boss wants us to do that. People do that like a survival thing because they're scared to make that person feel, different from you, or, like, you're not used to, standing on your toes and actually, believing in the new way of what we're going to do. So I'll learn things like a phrase of, they'll say, example, we implement a new process. They say, this is going to take too long. It's too slow. All these excuses. I will then say, well, maybe that is true. Maybe that can happen. But we're still going to go through this new process anyways. We need to. And we're going to see if it works or not. But first, we have to try it first. We can't just say that's not going to work if you haven't even tried it. And so, like, learning stuff like that, like, well, maybe that is key phrase, will help me communicate and learn to articulate myself better, especially in a work environment where you have to be very, like, careful with your words, obviously, because they could use it against you. And I've seen people use, like, words against, like, leadership and management. People have, sued companies because they felt, not treated fairly. So, like, you have to be very careful and strong with what you say. So what you say, every word that comes out your mouth has to be, like, powerful. and yet respectful and less problematic. So, and you see that in the work environment too, is like people stop learning after they graduated high school or college, and people just are so used to, you know, the fear of failing. So people won't speak up, people won't learn, relearn, unlearn things because they felt, oh, I already did all my learning in school. But that's not true. You that one saying that stuck with me when I was like 15 was the day you stop learning is the day you stop growing. And I believe that like wholeheartedly. So I think the moment that you just think you know everything or you're done with learning, I think you diminish. And a person like me is going to take your place because I'm still learning. And I don't think there's a deadline. Like you don't just stop learning. That doesn't even make sense to me. But people actually have that, you know, people like a CEOs have that. Like not every CEO obviously, but a lot of CEOs, VPs, you know, hierarchy of management of companies and even supervisors to managers, they sometimes believe that they have already put in the time to learn. And so now they just use what they learned in school and apply it at the workplace and only learn about the process of work. But it's like, well, what about the people though? Like if you don't put power to people, give them value, then they're going to give you a shitty return. So it's like, for me, like I'm more investing into the people and like giving them power and value as a leader to then, you know, uplift them. And naturally it'll uplift me just by focusing on like being a better version of myself and to give people value instead of focusing too much of a number metric of like, we need to get these numbers. Like, nah, if you want to obviously do great, but if you're just getting by with numbers, barely staying afloat, are you really creating an impact? And I can't do things with no purpose. And you see a lot of people at work have no purpose and no reason of what they're doing. They just kind of trying to get by. And I can't. I'm not like that.
Yeah, facts. And is it a lot of conflict with you and maybe someone who is at that stalemate to where they don't want to learn, they only want to learn about the processes of the workplace, and like when they come run into you, is there any conflict, would you say, or does it rub you the wrong way? Because you can see it, right?
I could feel it and
you
see
can feel it.
Yeah, I can never say like specifically anybody. I mean, I know you're not asking that, but I think I see it everywhere. The workplace, the place that I work, people in general, your family. You just see them like get in their own way, like their pride, their ego, the fact that they were good at, they thought they were good at this one thing, and then somebody else comes in and actually tests them and see like, hey, how come you're still using paper at this time when we're all electronic? So it's kind of like, and then that person might build resentment of like, this person's trying to take my job. Like that's like a real thing. Like people are so, it's kind of like, you know, sports. You know, the next man up, you know, the best ability is availability. So, and obviously within a work environment too, it's like, you know, if you're slacking and there's somebody else that's, you know, you look at somebody that's a smaller level, but that person's continuously learning and building the relationships and has no ego, no pride. When that person gets involved with the person that has pride and ego, you see it. Like I see it all the time because I guess not true. I try to be as logical as possible. And me being logical and taking all the emotions and not letting somebody's energy not get towards me, I see the look in their face of like, you know, anger, jealousy, the words that they say, the way they move. I could just tell like they're disgruntled and they're upset and they feel like everybody's attacking them. But the one thing I see, you know, when somebody's in their own way, when they're always pointing the finger, like, oh, it's this department, it's this person, it's that person, it's this process. But it's like, oh, yeah, I see that you like to point at everything else, but what about you? Like, what do you think you can do? And that's when they get stuck. And it's like, okay, so you just, you know, you're blaming your, like, you're blaming your weaknesses or whatever you want to call it according to everybody else's, like, it's like kind of playing like victim. Like you try to like blame everybody else to then make you feel better about yourself, and you see that all the time, and it's just kind of like a sad thing. It's kind of like you don't really have to think like that. You can actually take accountability of everything and do something.
But it's a lot of people like they never had to. You know what I mean? They got by just, you know, doing that, maybe pointing the finger when they were a kid helped get the heat off of them when they were in trouble or when things pointed back to them. You know what I'm saying? So like, and it carries on into their adulthood and their jobs that they're working today.
Yeah. Like, what do you think about people that are role players? Like, they're good at the hard skills. Like, they know how to do one thing or two things, maybe 5 things very well. But they're in a leadership position, but they're not leaders. Like, how do you feel when you see somebody that is supposed to lead by example, but is always taking shortcuts, but is in the position of a leader? Like, I don't know what comes to mind when you think about that.
I think being in that position, the position of power, and not leading by example, kind of takes away your credibility and like who you are and how you are in that role. Because if you're not stepping up to the plate and you're not being accountable and you're not showing others the right way to go, what are you really doing at the end of the day? You know, you're just, at the end of the day, you're just in a place of power. You're not making any impact. You're not doing anything of value. You know, you're just collecting a check at that point.
Mm-hmm. That's the one thing you see over there. Like, I think you see in sports, and people are just content. Like, I think you should. I don't know if it's content. People are comfortable. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, I don't know. Like, for me, I always feel like I'm never satisfied, which is like you gotta be careful with that too. It's like sometimes I'd be surprised when I see other people that are very comfortable and they try to stay in that little box, but then them doing that also kind of, they try to keep other people in boxes too. Mm-hmm. When they like limited mindset, like a fixed mindset, you start to see that in people that just are within themselves, that, oh, I am who I am, and I know what I know, and I'm right, and you're wrong, and I have this, certificate of this college diploma, so that means I'm better than you. Mm-hmm. And I never feel that, because I know it's just a piece of paper. Like, you have to apply the knowledge, though. So, mm-hmm. like, my thing is, yeah, you can know all this shit. Yeah, you pass through all these classes and stuff. Yeah, that's great. I think that's a great thing. But are you applying everything that you've learned? Like, if you got a diploma for this, but yeah, you're working at this level that I could get to, that's my next step. Mm-hmm. I mean, that says a lot. Like, I got myself in this position just by being myself. I don't got no college diploma. Thank God I have a high school diploma. But one thing I have too is just like a relentlessness of learning and trying to, like, I'm a natural self-learner, self-made, like, create myself to then, work through whatever I'm going through to then communicate better or think better. And you see other people that are just stuck in their ways, and they mm-hmm. think that just because they have this, that they're better than certain people. And I think that sucks, because it's only a matter of time until I surpass you in the eyes of you. Mm-hmm. I'm not thinking about you. I'm not thinking about surpassing you, mm-hmm. but you do, because I'm just in competition with myself. You're in competition with everybody else. And that's a dangerous game that you can have that. You can win that first place every time.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Facts. That's a hard one, a hard pill to swallow for somebody else. Maybe that they've like, oh, I spent all these years at college and yada yada, but you're standing on all 10 toes, and you're standing up and being that leader, being in that role of power, position of power, and you're encouraging people. You're doing your job to the best of your ability. You're not pointing fingers. You're taking accountability. That speaks volumes versus somebody, oh, this department's not doing their job, so I can't do my job effectively, and you're complaining all the time. And it's just like, nobody wants to. How you gonna be led by somebody that can't even lead themselves? You know what I'm saying? So, that's a hard pill to swallow for somebody else. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah. For you, like, what do you think about people when they say, do you think people that are not self-motivated, that they could actually help motivate other people?
I mean, I can't give a direct answer, because I don't know. It might be, there's there's some coaches out there that are overweight, don't lift, don't do anything, but they can motivate the hell out of a team mm-hmm. that can, possibly be good, or motivate their kids or motivate anyone, like even someone that maybe didn't accomplish their goals, they can motivate their kids to accomplish their goals and reach the next level or play sports or get a degree, So I guess you could say they can motivate somebody, but if somebody is ambitious already and, genuinely pursuing their dreams and have met their goals and continue to grow, and they rub off on somebody or motivate or inspire somebody else, I feel like they can inspire somebody at a faster pace. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I know me personally, getting advice from somebody who maybe hasn't done as much or maybe hasn't played, like, say somebody's giving me advice on football and they've never played in high school, they played Pop Warner. I'm sorry, I'm not taking your advice, bro. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Or like, I
think you could say high school level too, right? Ain't that fair to say?
Yeah, even high school level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't take your advice, bro. Like, oh, you should do this because of this. It's like, bro, I would respect it more. If I ran into Charles Woodson and he gave me advice, you see the difference? Like, I can look at him and be like, okay, I can see through his actions when he was in that position and see all the things that he did. He's one of the greats. Like, he grinded, busted his ass to accomplish his goals. I can take in that information and that can motivate me and push me farther than I already am, pushing myself.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? It's just harder to get it. For me personally, it's harder to get that from somebody else that didn't meet their goals. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Damn, man. When you think about, cause you know how you came off of IR, had a pretty good game. Obviously, it's always like things you can improve within yourself that you know more than anybody else. But before you got the call that you were gonna play the next game, were you struggling with anything, like within your mind during that time when you were on IR and maybe you couldn't play, you were practicing? Like, was there any thoughts that you were kind of working through, and how'd you get through it?
So when I'm dealing with stuff like this is stuff that I've dealt with in college too. So when I'm processing stuff like this, my main thing is staying positive and that everything's happening for a reason. One of the thoughts that kept ringing in my head was, maybe that next game, if I would have played that next game, I would have got hurt and been done for my career. I sat for, 5 games and, it sucked. It sucked watching my team lose. It sucked, sitting back and feeling hopeless. But at the same time, I'm still in the gym. I'm still working. I'm still grinding. I'm still working on my craft. And, I was like, when I do get that call, I'm going to be ready. I'm going to be ready to do whatever they need me to do at any position, So, staying on my routine, staying on my grind. I never fell off track. Even when I rolled my ankle and got hurt that practice, I literally laid on the ground for about 2 minutes, got up, started hobbling, jogging, got it spatted, taped real tight, and I went back and finished one-on-ones, finished practice. I'm not going to sit out. I'm sorry. Like, unless I physically, literally cannot walk, I'm not sitting out. So I didn't miss a single practice from that point. And that was a 3-4 week period. I didn't miss a single practice. So, and I take pride in what I do and what I'm doing, because at the end of the day, I could be somewhere else. You know what I mean? I could be working a job I'm not passionate about or don't really like. So, I internalized everything. I kept a smile on my face, kept grinding, because at the end of the day, I'm doing exactly what I love. So, I know it sounds cliche, but like it's real. Like, when you're doing something you're genuinely passionate about, like, you find joy in it regardless of the outcome or what's to come. You know what I mean? Like, the process of it is fun to me. I like the feeling of grinding. I like that feeling of having to get over obstacles to get to a certain point, because at the end of the day, like, arena isn't the final goal, bro. Like, yes, it's professional, but that's not my final goal. So I know, like, this is just a stepping stone. So regardless of what happens, like, this is just gonna be a better part for in my story when I tell it at the end. When I have my book and I'm telling people my story and I'm speaking to these teams, I'm speaking at seminars and stuff like that, it's just gonna be that much better. So keeping my head on straight and having tunnel vision just helped me push through.
One of the words that you said that I've been thinking about too lately. It's funny how I remember I told you that before we start recording, it's like I had so many things like throughout the days before, like in between episodes, I'll have so many like epiphanies where I'm like, oh, you know what, this is gonna be good. Like, I have thoughts or conversations I'm like dealing with people, and I'm like, oh, you know what, this is gonna be good for the podcast. Like, oh, I make sure I write it down. I try to remember to like type it in on my notes, but I forget. But one thing that I was definitely looking at, and when I look back on my life, is like adversity. Like, I don't know what it is. I mean, it's a, you know, a survival, you know, instinct. Like, I thrive with adversity. Like, I actually love it, even when like I'm struggling and like it's hard to hold myself, you know, emotionally and, you know, my mental health, and try to keep myself balanced. I have all these, you know, stress going on in my body. Like, there's a reason why everybody's stress is different. People don't realize like stress affects different parts of your body, comes out different. You might get headaches, you might get an eye twitch, like it's like unlimited, like what stress does to your body. And those are the moments where I really thrive, when I look back, like when all the pressure's on my shoulder. Like, that's what I love. That's why I like to take you know how different you got to be to then embrace the role of being a leader for your family, and to create the generational wealth and be conscious of that, and then putting in the work and still fucking up and still making mistakes, but having that weight on your back. Like, I embrace that. Like, in this tough time, there'll be times I'll be driving in the car and I'll start crying just to just let it loose. But it won't be like, I won't be crying because I'm sad. I'll be crying because like either I'm proud of myself, or maybe a thought lingers in, like a fear of, you know, me achieving all the things that I want, and maybe that family member isn't there to enjoy it because, you know, life is life. So people pass away, you know, everything's on God's time and for a reason. I think when people pass away, it's a message too within you. If somebody else passes away close to you, there's a message there when somebody passes in a good way. And that's my one fear. It's like, you know, like Drake said it in a song, like, I'm afraid that I'm gonna die before I get where I'm going. And that's like one of my fears I'll have sometimes. It's like, shit, man, like, I know it's inevitable. Like, I have like ridiculous amount of confidence that I'm gonna get everything I desire, everything I think about, my wallpaper screen on my phone with the house and the water fountain that I want, with the gates. Like I think there's no doubt that I'm gonna get it. Do I know when? No, but I'm not really focused on that no more. I used to, like, you know, in 5 years, 10 years, but then that 5 years goes by and you still ain't got shit. So it's kind of like, fuck, you got to just hammer down day by day and build, be positive, but especially through the adversity. Like, I don't know if you've seen, I had posted on my Instagram, it was like a image, it was like a graph, and it showed like, it was like very small, like increments, and then it starts to build. But the first like 6 increments that were very small, it was saying, I don't think this is gonna work. I don't know if this is gonna work. And then right before you think maybe I should quit, I don't know if this is it, if you were to go on and try for another 365 days or another 2 years, you would get to that increment where like the success starts to come like in fruition. Like, that's why there is a, like, the saying that goes over a lot of people's head. It's like, you got to stay down until you come up. Like, literally stay down, hone in on what you need to do, the bigger picture. Don't focus on the picture though. Like, focus on like right now of what to do to get to that, like little goals. And you don't even have to, cause I'm a thinker. So like, I know what I want and I manifested it, thinking it, reading it. I'm always like my lady can tell you, bro, I wake up and I listen to Gary Vee. Like I wake up and like listen to like Denzel Washington and like, you know, Muhammad Ali and, you know, Malcolm X, you know, Cesar Chavez, like all these great like inspirational people that, you know, I like to be within like their ideas and how they carry themselves and what got them to success. I listen to that shit every single day. I believe like you are what you listen to. So I try to listen to like, Jeezy, like was it Nipsey, Larry June, Drake, Russ, even Jack Harlow's, and like other artists that are like inspirational, like, or they have a lot of Lil Baby. I like they have these like they might even talk about it in the whole song, but they'll might reference it in a few bars of like, you know, just trying to be successful, you know, focus on my own grind. Like I like to listen to that like all day, every day, because I feel like you manifest it. The more you listen to it, the more it means to you, and the more you want to get to that goal, you slowly start to build it in your character. Like you don't only find yourself, you have to create yourself. Like you don't find yourself until you create yourself. So I think people forget that, you know, you're not stuck in your own ways only if you choose to. Like you get to create and define of who you want to be, and I think people never seen that before, and maybe it doesn't get talked about. Like you can, if you suck at communication, you can be great at communication. If you suck at expressing your feelings, you can then learn to express your feelings. If you have a hard time creating boundaries, you can learn to create boundaries. If you're an enabler, you can learn to not enable behavior that is toxic and it is detrimental in your life. Like you have the choice to create. You just got to put in the work and search and be vulnerable and accept fucking up and make the mistakes and be practical. Like all the knowledge is just knowledge if you don't use it. So you got to be practical, and all the shit that you learn, that you read in a book, you have to use it the next day or like at the moment when the next conversation comes or the next circumstance where there's confrontation. You got to use the stuff that you've listened to or read in a book and apply it to then create yourself. Because I think everybody, or not everybody, but for me, like, you know, like Nipsey Hussle said in that one song, like, you know, I forgot what he said, but I just know he said something about self-made, and I fucking loved it. But I think you know, oh yeah, there you go. I think it was on a dedication with Kendrick Lamar. He was like, self-made, meaning I designed myself. Like, and you really have that power, and I think people don't know that.
Yeah, facts.
That was a lot. My bad. That was a lot of ranting. That was a lot of ranting. I got emotional. I got a little bit passionate about that.
It's all good, bro. It's all good.
I really believe in it. It just hurts my heart when I see people struggling. That's why.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to. You choose to. And you might not know it. That's why. You might not know that there's a way out. And that's what hurts me. Because I'm like, damn, you don't have to suffer like that.
Yeah.
And that's like the reason why I think why I love to speak about certain things, especially that I've worked through. Because I hate seeing people like, you know, be all up in their head too much.
Yeah. Yeah, facts. And a lot of people don't have like even a positive, good circle to keep them well grounded too. That's big. You know what I mean? Someone might be on the path of trying to change themselves, trying to, you know, manifest a better version of themselves, and, you know, the people that they have around them are pulling them down, whether it's like a bad relationship, you know, family, toxic family members, toxic friends. Like you gotta, even if you have to just completely just get on your own grind for 6 months and just like separate yourself from everybody, that's what you have to do. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying like I had, you know, people that were like toxic family members or stuff like that, but at some point I had to get away from everybody, even though like, no, they weren't dragging me down, but I had to get in my own like bag, so to speak, when it comes to like rebuilding my mentality and my foundation. Like, and you know, sometimes you're gonna get shaken up, sometimes you're gonna, you know, fall off, but instead of making the situation worse, be like, okay, accept what happened, you know, accept those negative thoughts or whatever, and, you know, push them to the side and start grinding and be like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to be. This is how I want to be. This is where I want to be in the next 6 months. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, once you start doing that and, you know, you're pushing towards something or a goal or you're focused in and you're locked in, you can be whoever you want to be. You know what I mean? Like 6 months can, determine the next 10 years in your life, if you put the time and effort towards it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think people forget too is like there's so much value in like every conversation, every person. You just got to make sure you're choosing the right people around you. Like we've already said it so many times, but if you hang out with 9 broke people, you're going to be the 10th one. You hang out with 9 irrational, over emotional people, you're going to be the 10th one. Like you have to be very like conscious of your surroundings, because you are who you hang out with. I forgot who was it that said, show me your friends and I'll show you your future.
Oh, I know his name.
Somebody said that.
I know who you're talking about too. I seen the TikTok on him.
Mm-hmm.
It was a pastor, I think.
Yeah,
it was the black dude.
Yeah, Lewis Brown.
I don't know his name. I don't know his name.
But that type of stuff is so true. I just think it goes over people's head because they're so used to. I'm telling you, man, you don't realize how I realize how different I am when I talk to other people that are fixed mindset, which sometimes it might be my family. So, like, it's so bizarre to see that people don't acknowledge that you can create a new habit. People are just stuck in their habits, and sometimes it's very sad to see, because if you're somebody like me that's like an empath is somebody that's oversensitive to other people's energy and their emotions. So if you're sad, I know you're sad, and I could feel it. Like I could literally feel it, and it'll start to almost rub off on me. So I gotta be careful to like put that wall, not as in like you're not having sympathy, but I gotta make sure that I'm just having empathy and not maybe connecting my energy to you, so then I respond to you in a way that's almost the same frequency that you are. If you're either anxious or nervous or sad, I can't then absorb that energy, because it will affect me. Like my family, like when they're going through stuff, that hurts me the most. Like, and I feel it to my core. Like my worst nightmare is like one of them like passing away tragically. But I've learned to accept death. But that's a fear, like that would like rock my world. Would it be the end of it? No, but it is like a fear. So, I have to put like that block, like an energy block. Like I can't accept, I don't care what they're going through. I just can't let it affect me, because then I'm not gonna be able to help them as the best I could. Because there's times where I would take weeks and months away from my family because I didn't know it was a thing that you absorb their energy. So I had to learn how to like, try to create a barrier behind it and try to be logical. And you start to see like people are just so consumed with like validation and fear of making a mistake because of what school or their family when they were growing up was taught. Like, and they're scared to branch out and try and take risks. Like you only hear if you live long enough, 100 years, and that's such a small amount of time in the universe. And I feel like you only got one shot at this in this physical body. So for me, it's like, why the fuck would I give a fuck what anybody thinks? Like, I care about what I think, and I critique myself the most, and I'll speak it openly, like with you, like how I say, like I feel like I'm talking too long sometimes. I'm ranting, but I don't even know what the definition of a rant is, but I'm just passionate about what I'm talking about because I'm living through it and I've been through it. And I think that's what you start to see. We're starting to see it with the podcast, like on social media and stuff. You start to see the connections that we're building with people with what we talk about, because either what we're speaking about you've gone through, you're going through, you might go through it in the future, or somebody that is going through that. So I think the stuff that we talk about connects with an infinite amount of people, because we're all going through something. We're all getting tested at a certain moment, either patience, validation, fear, judgment, acceptance, goals, ambitions. Like, we're all testing ourselves, and you forget to realize every time you talk to somebody and they give their opinion is based on their experiences and their perception of those experiences. So they're speaking to you as if they were talking to their younger self, or they're speaking to you as they talk to themselves in their head. So I think you have to realize that everybody's in their own game, and you have to play yours and design and create yours, and be aware that people are just just given their perception of things, and you have to create what you want in life and stick to that and 10 toes down and make sure that you don't sway off the path maybe a little bit too much, or you sway all the way off. So I think you just have to be conscious and aware of where you're trying to go, and then just put in the work.
Gotta put in that work, gotta grind, regardless. But I think that's gonna wrap it up for this episode, man. We appreciate you guys for supporting us and tapping in with us. Got anything for them, Wanaveli?
Damn, you never did this before. Damn, I did not expect that. I was expecting you to coast off. I'm just gonna smile at the camera. I don't know. I just want to say, I definitely appreciate everybody, and without BDAB, for me, this probably wouldn't have happened. So I owe you everything, for what we're doing. You help elevate me and bring out some of the things I'm working through. I mean, we talk about this even off the camera, but I think to have it on camera and to see the connections it builds with people, the feedback that we get, I think it just it shows that we're doing something. And we're not trying to tell you how to think. We're not trying to tell you, how you should approach life and stuff like that. We're just trying to show that there's a different perspective that you can have, and to hone in on being your true self, and that means finding yourself by creating the life that you want. So I think that's the way I'll end it right there.
Yeah, facts. Well, we'll see you guys next time on Self Revelations.